this again. Decision 2014. Let's remind you of Adrian Gonzalez and Paul Goldschmidt. There's the vote total right now. We thought last time when we left Southern California that somehow, some way, Adrian Gonzalez would rock the vote and move the needle, but he did not. Goldschmidt continues to build, and let's take a look now at the breakdown in the state of California. This is amazing when you look at it by county, and this is what we're projecting here at Fox Sports Arizona. See some of those swing states in right, but look at California, and as we look even closer at what's going on in California, we told you about Adrian Gonzalez. He has Southern California. He has the Inland Empire, the counties of Riverside, San Bernardino, and Ontario. He's going to carry the Salton Sea, all those beach communities. He played for the Padres. He's a star in Los Angeles, but it's in Northern California where Paul Goldschmidt continues to make his mark in all kinds of issues of voting, potential for voting fraud. But we know this: no one near San Francisco or AT&T Park is going to cast a ballot for anybody on the Los Angeles Dodgers. This is not the Electoral College. It is total votes. Paul Goldschmidt doesn't even need to have anybody on the ground in Northern California. He is sweeping the area, so to speak. So continue to go out and vote for Paul Goldschmidt. When we come back, speaking of sweeping, as I mentioned, and as Steve and Bob have chronicled, the Diamondbacks looking for 3 here in San Diego. Will they get it? We'll find out in a matter of moments. Stick around.
Park, San Diego. Steve Berthune, Bob Brenly, Tom Walsh along the way. The D-backs 6-2 against the Padres this year, and today a chance for their second series sweep this year after sweeping 3 at Colorado in the beginning of June against the Rockies. Diamondbacks have not swept a series here in San Diego since April of 2006, and today we get our first look at the Major League level at shortstop prospect Nick Ahmed, who's been hitting a ton with AAA Reno. About to make his Major League debut. His wife Amanda is in the ballpark with us today. Nick Ahmed, great moment for him, certainly. He's been hitting a ton at Reno, .324 this year. And there is his wife Amanda. We've heard a lot about his glove, seen it in the fall league, seen it in spring training. He's looked great, but the bat is coming around as well. He was 1 for 5 at Albuquerque last night. Chris Owings goes on the DL, so Nick Ahmed is here at the age of 24. 3 things need to know about Nick Ahmed. Came over in the Martin Prano deal, a Braves second-round pick in 2011 out of the University of Connecticut. He was a teammate there with the Huskies of the Astros, George Springer. He is considered by many the best defensive shortstop in the organization. He was a terrific high school pitcher. He's got a big arm. And look at the offensive improvement there, Bob.
Almost a 100-point improvement in his average from last season at Mobile to this year at Reno. Also, MLB.com ranked him as the best infield arm in the Diamondbacks organization, which is saying something when the team has Chris Owings and Didi Gregorius. If Nick Ahmed has a better arm than those guys, I want to see it.
He won a Gold Glove last year as the best defensive shortstop in all of minor league baseball. So Kirk Gibson and his Diamondbacks will be getting a look at a newcomer to the NL West. This is Cuban defector Odrisamer Despaigne, his second big league start. Let's hear from his teammate and former D-back, Ian Kennedy.
He throws everything for, against the Giants, he throws everything for strikes. You don't know what he's going to throw. He has cutters, sinkers, different types of changeups, different types of curveballs. It was actually very entertaining to watch because you had no arm angle he was going to throw from. So I had a lot of fun watching him.
Odrisamer Despaigne, his major league debut Monday at San Francisco, and he was outstanding. 4 hits allowed in 7 scoreless. No walks and 1 strikeout. He got 11 ground ball outs in that game and was very effective. Strike 1 to Ender Inciarte, and we're underway. D-backs look for a sweep in San Diego. Ender at .239 on the year. He is 2 for 9 in the series so far. There is a glare here. He's got the eye black on and the sunglasses and the whole thing. Cloud sort of cover, overcast a bit here, but it's really bright for some reason.
Yeah, and occasionally the sun will pop through the overcast and the clouds, and it becomes very, very bright. At other times, a little hazy brightness.
2-2. Quinn Wolcott is the plate umpire this afternoon. Slaps that one out of play. Ender Inciarte has hit in 5 straight games. Rolling along here in the leadoff spot, a .440 on base percentage as the leadoff man.
Yeah, his 6th start in that leadoff spot. He's 9 for 23. That's a .391 batting average and gives the Diamondbacks that element of speed. Had a big stolen base in the game last night.
Swing and bunt. Despaigne pounces on it. Makes a strong throw, but Inciarte beats it out. The throw may have pulled Medica off the bag. And Ender Inciarte once again has the leadoff man on base to start things off.
Oh, that swinging bunt. If hitting coaches could teach this, everybody in baseball would use it. Obviously just an accidental thing at the top half of the baseball and pounded it down into that soft dirt in front of home plate. Served the purpose of a bunt for a base hit.
Gerardo Parra. .258 on the year, 5 home runs. First pitch swinging, lifts it into left field. Seth Smith near the line. 1 out. Now look at the lineup for the Diamondbacks with Inciarte at the top and Nick Ahmed making his major league debut at shortstop.
Well, we've seen Inciarte and Parra at the top. Goldie making his way to the plate right now. Miguel Montero cleaning up. Aaron Hill at second base. Martin Prado at third base. David Peralta out in left field. Nick Ahmed making his major league debut, batting 8th in front of right-handed pitcher Mike Bolson.
Good day for Nick Ahmed, who was playing for the Aces last night against Albuquerque, and here he is in his major league debut in San Diego. Paul Goldschmidt looks at ball 1. Goldie hitting .298. That is the lowest his batting average has been this year. 1 for his last 17 at the plate with 9 strikeouts. But he has also drawn 12 bases on balls during that stretch. Diamondbacks remarkably have won the first 2 games of this series, and Paul Goldschmidt does not have a base hit. He has walked 5 times in the series. The D-backs record for walks in a series, either in a 3 or 4 game set, is 7. That's been done twice. Gonzo in 2002, 3-game series against the Dodgers. Then Adam Dunn in 2008, a 3-game set against these Padres. Inciarte holds it first, pitches upstairs, 2-0. D-backs 6-2 against the Padres this year. They've won 14 over the last 21 against the NL West. There goes Inciarte. The throw from Grandal is not in time. And Ender Inciarte gets his 6th stolen base. You saw him, Bob, create a run like this last night. Single, wound up on third after a bad throw and scored a run.
Yeah, with Grandal behind the plate today, the faster Diamondbacks runners should be on their toes. He's only thrown out 3 of now 31 attempted base stealers. That's under 10% throwing out opposing runners. So I would expect Inciarte, possibly Peralta, possibly Ahmed, if they get on base over there and can get a jump, look for him to be in motion.
2-1 to Goldie.
On a stolen base last year, the Diamondbacks had the worst rate in the major leagues, only a 60% success rate. This year they're at 77%, which is the 5th best in the National League.
And Miggy on deck threw out another base stealer last night behind the plate for the Diamondbacks. 3-1 is a called strike. It's full 3-2. Wow. Espanier got the call there from Quinn Wolcott behind the plate. Ball 4. He has now walked 6 times in the series. Diamondbacks with 2 on and 1 out for Miguel Montero against Despaigne in just his 2nd big league start.
That's a little crooked. That's all right.
The Fernando Rodney thing going there.
Heard some comparisons to Livan Hernandez, El Duque Hernandez, even Bronson Arroyo when talking about Despaigne and his multiple arm angles and changing speeds.
Miguel Montero. That one is off the glove of Grandal. Inciarte had to hold up and immediately signal down to first base to Goldie. Hold on, I'm not moving up. Didn't get a good read on that, it looked like.
Well, he made that assumption. As a base runner, you want your right foot to come down on the ground just as that ball is into the hitting zone. That time it looked like he brought the right foot down a little bit too soon and was actually going back towards second base when that ball bounced out of the glove of Yasmani Grandal.
2-0 to Miguel Montero. Miggy hitting 35 points higher than he did last year. He has now matched his home run total from all of last season. 4 RBIs more than he had all of last year. His 2-run homer in the 6th last night off Eric Stoltz was the big hit in the ballgame. He slaps this into left center. It drops in for a base hit. Inciarte will come around third. He will score. Goldie is in there, and it's an RBI single for Miguel Montero. 1-0 D-backs. 2 singles and a walk to start things off for Arizona.
Miggy once again going to the opposite field. That pitch is off the plate away. That's the kind of plate coverage that he has this season with that simplified stance. Drives that ball out into the gap in left center. Hey, Seth Smith out there just kind of conceded Paul Goldschmidt going from first to third on that base hit into left field.
Miggy's third hit in the series. He's now hit safely in 5 straight. Aaron Hill. .251 and 6 homers. Odrisamer Despaigne just cruised along in his first big league start Monday at San Francisco. 4 hits and 7 scoreless without a walk. He's given up 2 hits and a walk in this inning, and he's got only 1 out.
Now facing one of the hottest Diamondbacks with runners in scoring position. Aaron Hill 11 for his last 26 when he's got a teammate in scoring position.
Got Paul Goldschmidt at third, Miguel Montero at first, and a run in. This is hit shallow center field. Amarista going out. Maben comes in. No chance for Goldie to tag, and that's the second out. So they're on the corners. 2 outs for Martin Prado. Odrisamer Despaigne. He was just signed by the Padres in May. Made 2 starts at AA San Antonio, 5 at AAA El Paso. And suddenly here he is, his second major league appearance. He went 1-3 with an ERA over 6 in 7 minor league starts earlier this year. Prado looks at strike 1. We saw Martin go 2 for 4 last night, Bob. Both hits came when he swung at the first pitch.
Something he's been doing a little bit more of lately. We talked about it last night. Kind of runs in cycles. I think Martin Prado attempts to set up opposing pitchers by taking that first strike for days, weeks at a time. And then he'll turn around and be very aggressive early in the count.
Chopped foul, quickly 0-2.
Despaigne did not walk a batter in his first outing against the San Francisco Giants. When you look at his numbers in Cuba, he walked his share.
Played for a long time with Industriales in the Cuban League. Began with them as an 18-year-old back in 2005.
Nearly 400 walks in 957 innings.
Missed by a whole lot there. Despaigne in that start against the Giants became just the 7th pitcher since 1914 to throw 7 innings without a walk in his major league debut. And there have been only a handful of pitchers in Padres history, and they've had some good ones over the years, who have thrown at least 7 shutout innings in their big league debuts. 1-2 to Prado. And the interesting thing here with Despaigne, as was the case in San Francisco, his catcher in that start and his battery mate today, fellow Cuban Yasmani Grandal. First time since June of 1969 that a team has started a pitcher and a catcher from Cuba in the same game. Grandal holds on. Despaigne gets the strikeout and strands 2, but the D-backs score first. Miguel Montero, RBI number 47. He drives it Ender Inciarte, and it's 1-0 D-backs. starting pitcher Mike Bolsinger, 26-year-old rookie, making his 7th career start in the big leagues and coming off a tough loss his previous time out against the Giants a week ago today at Chase Field when he pitched very well. Question is, what'd you learn?
I think it gave me a little more confidence. You know, every outing you try to get better and better, and you know, learn more about yourself when you're pitching. And you know, I was very proud of myself for locating the ball, throwing the curveball for a strike, and also putting in the dirt when I had to. So if I can take that, what I learned from that start, and put it over in this one, you know, hopefully I can be successful.
Kirk Gibson called Bolsinger exceptional in that ball game. The best he's ever seen him. Held San Francisco to just 5 hits in 7 2/3.
Matched up against Madison Bumgarner in that game. He left trailing 1-0, but just an outstanding effort by Mike Bolsinger against the Giants last time out.
Key for Bolsinger in that start against the Giants, throwing strikes. He was very efficient. 69% of his pitches went for strikes. He went deep into the ball game. Left with 2 outs in the 8th, and he throws strike 1 to Chris Denorfia. Denorfia's 2nd straight start in the leadoff spot in this series. He was on base twice last night with a double and a walk. He scored a run. Also struck out twice in there at 250 and 1 home run. Padres wearing their traditional camouflage jerseys at Sunday home games as they honor their military presence here in the city of San Diego. There's the strike, 1-2. It's a good look. Bolsinger with that double pause in his delivery, and Denorfia hits a slow roller to Aaron Hill for the first out. This is the lineup for San Diego against Mike Bolsinger.
We've seen Chris Denorfia at the top, Seth Smith playing left field, Chase Headley at third base, Osmani Grandal behind the plate, Tommy Medica down at first base, Cameron Maven once again out in center field, Alexi Amarista moves over to shortstop for today's game, Irving Palou at second base, and Odrisamer Despagne, the right-hander, on the mound for the Padres.
No plays here.
OD, as we like to call it.
Odie. It's been tough going for Bud Black's team, now underneath the Diamondbacks in the NL West. Padres in these camouflage uniforms, 23-11 since the start of the 2012 season. Seth Smith, 280 and 8 homers.
5-3 this year wearing the camo unis.
Oftentimes you get the big naval presence here at the ballpark on these Sundays, but I guess the fleet is out. Seth Smith hitless in the series. And he's behind here 1-2. Hitting .323 this year at Petco Park. He's got 6 of his 8 homers in this ballpark. Shift is on. It bounced the other way. Jump throw for Prado, and he makes a tremendous play to get Seth Smith. Martin Prado. 2 down in the first. All by his lonesome over there on the left-hand side.
Derek Jeter-like with that jump throw from what would be the hole between short and third. Gets plenty on that throw to get Seth Smith over there at first base. Nicely done. Smith trying to beat that shift by going to the opposite field, and Martin Prado shows his range and his athletic ability.
And don't forget, you can see Derek Jeter play in his final All-Star game July 15th on Fox. Target Field in Minneapolis. Chase Headley. They will stay in the defensive overshift with the 3 infielders once again on the right-hand side. Headley tonight batting left-handed against the right-hander Bolsinger. He is a switch hitter, and we saw him last night hit righty against Josh Colemanter.
Speculated it could possibly be because of an injury. He's had some calf injuries, some back injuries. He's had a lot of issues to deal with physically this year.
He is a much better hitter from the left-hand side, both this season and in his career. Chase Headley said this week about the Padres' lost season, everybody is looking at themselves in the mirror. Everybody disappointed with how the season's going. And he said when a team performs this way, changes aren't going to be made. They've already fired their GM, Josh Burns. This is well hit to right field, but right at Gerardo Parra, and Mike Bolsinger works a 1-2 first. It's 1-0 D-backs. CenturyLink, your link to what's next coming up. The first big league at bat for Nick Ahmed. Major league at bat right after David Peralta leads off the second against Odrisamer Despaigne. D-backs lead at 1-0. Miguel Montero an RBI single. Inciarte, Montero, and Goldie all reached in the first against Despaigne. 2 singles and a walk. Peralta 286 and 2 homers. He struck out in his only at bat in last night's ball game. After coming in about midway through, there's a strike. And David drove in both D-backs runs in Friday's win with a 2-run single in the fourth. Breaking ball at 66 misses, and it's 2-2. Didn't you say a little bit of everything?
A little bit of everything. Changes speeds on everything, changes arm angles on all of his pitches.
This is there, 3-2. Nick Ahmed in the on-deck circle. His wife Amanda is here. Leadoff walk to Peralta, and here comes the rookie shortstop. Despaigne did not walk a batter in 7 innings in his first start. He's already walked 2 today. And here is Nick Ahmed hitting .324 at AAA Reno this year with 2 home runs. There's his wife Amanda. This is his first major league at bat. On base percentage with the Aces right at .390 this year. And the bat has caught up to the glove in this is age 24 season. He was 1 for 5 at Albuquerque last night. That extended his hitting streak with the Aces to 12 games, during which he was hitting over 360.
Carries his hands very low in his setup there at the plate, but as Despaigne gets ready to release the ball, he gets him up into a good hitting position, very aggressively attacking that strike zone.
Slashes that one down the right field line, and it is out of play, 1-1.
And you saw the 10 stolen bases in Reno as well. Not known as a burner on the bases, but obviously picks his spots well. Nice to add some speed to this lineup again with Chris Owings going down. He was perfect 7 for 7 in stolen bases.
And in contrast to CO, Nick Ahmed, Bob, is a tall, lanky guy, 6'3", 205, so the swing, it seems, can get a little long at times. Nick played in the Arizona Fall League after last year. Didn't do a whole lot there offensively. He hit .219. Hit .236 with AA Mobile last year. But the bat has come alive at AAA Reno this season. .324. Two one is in there for a strike. It's 2-2. Second double play ball. Falou, Amarista, and Medicare, they roll it.
Hmm. 100% positive that's not the debut Nick Ahmed was hoping for, but he's going to get plenty more chances, at least 3 more at bats in the ball game today. Just kind of smothered that 2-strike fastball on the outside part of the plate, hitting that ground to right second base.
Mentioned that is one thing that Odrisamer Despaigne did do well in his first start against the Giants. Got 11 ground ball outs in that game. And gets a big one there to get 2 quick outs in the second. 0-1 to Bolsinger. Bounces that one on the ground to second. Falou was there again. And that's the inning. We're in San Diego. D-backs lead the Padres 1-0. Brought to you in part by Chaz Roberts Air Conditioning and Plumbing. Choose Chaz. And by Bluebell Ice Cream. Celebrate summer with Bluebell's newest flavor, Magic Cookie Bar. It's a home run. California dreams of a D-back sweep in San Diego. They lead the Padres 1-0. Steve Berthiaume, Bob Brenly, Todd Walsh back with you as we start the home half of the second. Mike Bolsinger worked a 1-2-3 first. He's got a 1-0 lead. Keys to the game.
Our Valley Honda dealers' keys to the game today. Hold the lead. The Diamondbacks this season have lost 21 games when they had a lead. That's the second most in the majors. However, in this series, even with limited offense, the starting pitching and bullpen has been able to make those leads hold up, and they keep climbing the ladder. Move past the Padres out of last place in the National League West. The Rockies only one game ahead of the D-backs. Keep climbing that ladder.
Third place sounds pretty good after the start that the D-backs had as they continue to battle their way out of it and move up the charts. Yasmani Grandal, the switch-hitting catcher, is in there. He walked twice last night when he subbed into the game about midway through. He was 1 for 4 in Friday's series opener when he also got the start behind the plate. That's out of play. Mentioned that he is part of an all-Cuban battery here today for the Padres. Grandal was born in Cuba but moved to the U.S. when he was 10. Went to Miami Springs High School in Miami, and he dunks this one into right for a base hit. So Grandal, 4 for his last 24, has a single to lead off the second. Tommy Medica, 255 and 4 homers. Another start at first base for the Padres. Yonder Alonso is out. He's on the DL for San Diego. Right wrist tendonitis. They are also without second baseman Jed Jerko, plantar fasciitis in his left foot. So it's Medica at first and Falou at second. Everett Cabrera is in a miserable slump right now. He's getting the day off. Amarista getting the start at shortstop. And the slump has been a recurring theme this year in San Diego.
Look at that team batting average coming into play today, sitting at .213. By far and away the lowest team batting average in the major leagues.
And a struggle for Bud Black, hitting coach Phil Plantier, looking for some offense. Medica was the guy that played against Nick Ahmed a lot last year in the fall league. Center field, Gerardo Parra. 1 out in the second.
Oh, the Padres not hitting. They're not walking. They're the only team in the National League that hasn't gotten to the 200 walk mark yet as an offense. There's only 2 teams in the American League, Kansas City and Seattle, that haven't reached 200 walks so far this season.
They are a team of free swingers. We've talked about that with Everett Cabrera. One of the reasons he really can't hit leadoff. He just doesn't get on base enough. They're not a patient team at the plate. Cameron Maybin, 270 and 1 homer. Maybin 0 for 3. He had a walk last night. He was 1 for 3 Friday, singled and scored the Padres' only run of that game. They have played 2 games in the series, San Diego, and scored 2 runs. And one of the keys for Mike Bolsinger in that last start against the Giants, a loss, although he pitched very well, was throwing strikes. 89 pitches, 61 for strikes. He was ahead in the count most of that ball game and very pitch efficient. But he's having problems finding the handle here in the second. Gave up a single to Grandal, went to 3 balls on Medic, and now he's 3-1 on Maben.
And you may remember Miguel Montero, his catcher, talking about Bolsinger and occasionally how he has a lack of focus out there on the mound, doesn't really throw each pitch with a purpose. Something maybe he's going to try to stay on top of once again here today.
His first walk issue this afternoon. So a pair of 1-out base runners for Alexi Amarista. Amarista, left-hand hitter, .216 and a home run. He was 0 for 2 last night. 1 for 3 in Friday's game. Grandal at second, Maben at first. Do you find there are major league pitchers who will occasionally kind of space out from time to time?
Well, it can happen, especially when you get down to the bottom of the order and you've really had to grind hard to get through those hitters in the middle of the order, and then you see yourself looking at the 7, 8, 9 hitters and okay, I'm just going to throw a fastball down the middle of this guy. Well, no. Everybody with a bat in their hands is dangerous. Every pitch has to have a purpose and a reason. That usually gets remedied the first time you get beat by the bottom of the order. You know, work your way through the 3, 4, 5 guys, hold them all over, and give up 9 hits to the guys at the bottom of the order. It very quickly becomes apparent that you need to focus all the way through the lineup, every pitch.
That curveball.
Yeah, we heard Mike talking about that earlier. The ability to throw it for strikes when he wants to throw that short one like he just did there to Amarista and get those swinging strikes on pitches in the dirt.
Bolsinger, 29 pitches, 16 strikes and 13 balls. And he strikes out Amarista, 2 down in the second.
Amarista just has trouble laying off that high fastball. He will chase a breaking ball in the dirt as well, but for a little guy, he loves to swing at those high heaters.
Josh Comenter threw, when you looked at the pitch analytics after the ball game, a lot of curveballs, far more than he usually does. Strike 1 to Irving Falou, the second baseman. You've seen McCarthy, who got the win, outstanding on Friday. Josh Comenter last night, only 5 hits in 5 1/3, 4 strikeouts. He's now 7-4. And Bolsinger looking for the sweep. Falou bounces one toward the hole at first. It's under Goldie. Aaron Hill is there, and Bolsinger covers. Nicely done by the Diamondback infield. So Bolsinger strands the single in Milwaukee, keeps it 1-0 Diamondbacks, headed to the third.
much, but I'm trying to enjoy the game as much as I can. Sometimes, I start really slow. Sometimes I was thinking ahead of the game instead of focusing in every at bat, every game, one at a time. So lately, I've been just feeling more confident, and things are starting to get better.
Todd Walsh back here at Petco. Ender Inciarte, who is leading off this inning. And Steve, it's been a running theme talking to so many of the young kids on this Arizona Diamondbacks roster right now. Slow the game down. Let the game come to you. Just some of the same advice that the new shortstop got earlier today.
I bet you get up here and you want to jump out of your shoes, but you just heard from Ender about batting in the leadoff spot, and there he is so far. 10 hits and 24 at bats as the leadoff man. The on base percentage over .450. He singled, stole a base, and scored the game's only run his first time up. Reached on a swing and bunt. And he's not, or at least hasn't been, a real line drive hitter, Bob. He's a little bit of a slap hitter up there. He'll take it the other way when he needs to. But he is just shown a knack for getting on base and making things happen.
Yeah, the first pitch he showed bunt right there, took ball one, and then had no intention whatsoever of swinging at that second pitch. That's a sign to me that he's relaxed a little bit more. He realizes his job as a leadoff hitter is to get on base and see pitches. You know, a lot of times a young kid in a 1-0 count, you're going to be ready to hit that fastball and come out of your shoes. But I think Ender, as he said in that interview, starting to settle in, feels more comfortable up there at the top of the order.
Fouls off the 2-1. Yeah, you go back to when we first saw Ender Inciarte. Over his first 19 games in the big leagues, he had 4 hits. But since he's had the chance to play nearly every day, not just in the leadoff spot, but all over the place, he's had 23 hits over his last 22 games. Big difference. It's that in the air to right field. D'Orfey is underneath, and that's the first out.
Hey fans, anytime the D-backs score 6 runs or more, Taco Bell is giving away 3 free tacos with the purchase of a large drink between 4 and 6 the following day at participating locations.
And here's Gerardo Parra, who is still trying to find it a little bit here. He had a 6-game hit streak, and that ended earlier this month, and since the streak ended 19 games ago, Parra has hit under 190. And he looks at strike one. Lifts this in the air the other way near the left field line. Seth Smith has it 2 down. Second time in the ball game, Parra has flat out to left. Here's Goldie. So Goldie, with his walk in the first inning, 6 walks in the series. The D-backs record in any series is 7. He has now reached base safely in 21 straight games. And his on-base percentage during that streak is almost .500, which is remarkable considering he's won for his last 17 at the plate.
He's not getting much to hit. It's good to see him willing to take those walks. There was a period there of a couple of weeks where it looked like Goldie was just trying to do a little bit too much. He wasn't getting a lot to hit. He understands how important he is to this offense and started to chase some bad pitches out of the zone, which is very uncharacteristic for him.
Not a bad way to get the workout in. Put the bike out on the deck, watch the ball game. There's a strike, 2-2. How about that? Now that's a way to work out.
Yeah, I'm telling you, if you have to work out, that's the way to do it.
Don't we all have to? 2-2. Holds up there and it's full. Just a little. strike 3. Despaigne has now retired 5 in a row. D-backs lead it 1-0. Right after the ball game, the debut of the Brad Ziegler Cup of Coffee episode. That is right after the game, and then again tonight at 10 o'clock, only on Fox Sports Arizona. You can check out some preview clips right now on FoxSportsArizona.com. Right after the ball game, Cup of Coffee in Chloe's Corner in downtown Phoenix with Brad Ziegler, who has pitched in both games in this series so far. D-backs looking for the sweep. And Odrisamer Despaigne, the pitcher, leads off the third for the Padres. Despaigne, 27 years old, 6 foot 195. Hard to believe he was just signed by San Diego in May, and now here he is. He got that start his last time out against the Giants after Andrew Kashner had to be scratched with a sore right shoulder. And he strikes out on 3 pitches to open up the third. Second strikeout for Mike Bolsinger. Fans, it's that time again. Use the old Twitter hashtag, the whole thing, AZFanPhoto, for your chance to have your fan photo shown in our game broadcast, brought to you by AT&T. I have to say, Rodrigo Lopez has turned in some stellar work so far.
Man, I'm telling you. Great job.
Putting Brandon Webb to shame. Sorry, Webb. You can't catch a break. Zenorfia grounded out his first time. Bolsinger had some command issues in the second, but he struck out Despaigne on 3 pitches, and now he's 0-2 on Denorfia. Jumping ahead in counts early, and he gets Denorfia to fan at that one. And Bolsinger has now struck out 3 the last 4 he's faced.
He really has that curveball going right now. And it's one thing to strike out the opposing pitcher, which he was able to do with ease, but then to come back and make Chris Denorfia look bad on a breaking ball, that tells you he's got a good one going today.
Throw-in strike 1, that's always a key. We saw Brandon McCarthy just flat out dominate in that category on Friday night.
And this has been a common theme in this series for the Padres hitters or the Diamondbacks pitchers, however you choose to look at it. 4 out of the first 10 hitters in the game today, 0-2 counts. We saw Brandon McCarthy and Josh Coleman are ahead 0-2, seemingly almost every hitter the first 2 games of this series.
Overshift is on again for Seth Smith. Martin Prado, kind of like the lonely end, that old Army formation down there midway between second and third. And you've got Nick Ahmed in his major league debut at shortstop, playing on the first base side of second. 88-mile-an-hour fastball, and Smith can connect. 1-2. There's the defensive alignment.
Martin Prado playing the role of the Maytag repairman.
Mike Bolsinger strikes out the side in order. 11 pitches, 9 strikes, 3 strikeouts. He has struck out 4 the last 5 he's faced, and it's 1-0 D-backs. Jack Magruder writing right now for FoxSportsArizona.com. You can see his post-game analysis and reaction on the website after the ball game. Look at the Diamondbacks weekend photos, and the Mercury look to improve the WNBA's best record. All that and more right now, FoxSportsArizona.com. This is Jack's last game with us on the trip. He'll go back to the Valley as we move on to Pittsburgh after the ball game today.
Yeah, there are certain states Jack's not allowed to travel to.
Well, there was an incident. You're kidding, of course. Irving Falou from shallow right throws him out. And Odrisamer Despaigne is now retired 6 in a row. We also lose Rodrigo Lopez on this trip. Rodrigo here for 3 games on D-backs Spanish language radio broadcast, working with Oscar. We get Richard Saenz for the rest of the trip, so it's a big downgrade.
That's like
look out.
Watch out.
Try the corner and missed.
Pinch hitting, a light hitting 200 middle infielder for Babe Ruth. Richard Saenz filling in for Rodrigo Lopez.
Do the best you can with what you got.
That's right.
Been an adventurous at bat so far for Aaron Hill. One ball went over his head, the other one through Grandal. Aaron flying out to center his first time. There's the strike. 2-1. Despaigne has faced 14 batters. He's gone to 2-ball counts on 10 of them. And now he's behind 3-1 on Aaron Hill. Odrisamer Despaigne Cuban defector, his second major league start. So far 55 pitches, 29 for strikes. And here's a guy that in his major league debut became just the 7th pitcher since 1914 to go 7 innings in his big league debut without a walk. And so far through 3 1/3 here today, he has walked 3.
I mentioned his career over in Cuba. He walked his share of batters, almost 400 in 950 innings. I think perhaps the start against the Giants might have been an outlier. Guy just nibbles and throws a lot of off-speed pitches. He's going to walk his share of guys over the course of the game.
Snaps a stretch of 6 straight retired by Despaigne. Martin Prado, a strikeout victim his first time.
Hey fans, when the D-backs win, you win at Papa John's. The day after every Diamondbacks win, you get 50% off your regular menu price online order at Papa John's. Enter promo code DBACKS50 at papajohns.com.
Prado swing at the first pitch twice for base hits last night. Takes strike 1 there. Double play ball here. Amarista will take it himself and they roll it. Second double play behind Odrizamer Despaigne. Diamondbacks lead it 1-0.
With Chris Owings, him getting hurt, it creates an opportunity for Nick Ahmed. But as we were just talking, that's how careers start. A lot of times start or end, to be honest with you. But again, we're just looking to get better. But it's a nice problem to have as far as more middle infielders than maybe you need.
It's our Geico quote of the game from Alan Trammell. Todd Walsh, welcome back to Petco. And I'll just say this, guys, that and this is probably my bad. We don't hear enough from Alan Trammell. I could have talked to him for 2 hours about what it means to Nick to be here today and the advice that he would pass along to him. But I just love what he said in the pregame show. Just let the game come to you. Do what you did all your life in the backyard. We'll move you along the way, the rest of the way, with charts for hitting and fielding. But right now, just play the game.
And he's out there behind Mike Bolsinger with the overshift on for Chase Headley. Nick Ahmed, his major league debut at shortstop. He will bat in the 5th, grounded into a double play at his first big league at bat. There's a strike, 2-1. Bolsinger coming off an outstanding 3rd inning, and he struck out the side in order. And he comes out to open up the 4th and falls behind 3-1 on Headley, who lined out to right his first time. And a good start in the 1st, a little bit of a shaky 2nd, a tremendous 3rd, and now he's 3-2 on Headley to open up the 4th. All 4. Second walk issued by Bolsinger. That snaps a stretch of 5 straight he'd retired. Brings up Yasmani Grandal, who singled his first time up. The Padres' only hit so far against Bolsinger. Yasmani Grandal looked like a very promising catcher of the future for the Padres after coming up in 2012. Hit 297 in 60 games, 8 home runs, but then in November of that year was suspended 50 games for violating MLB's PED policy, positive testosterone test. Didn't get into a game last season until the end of May. Turned out to be a disaster, played in fewer than 30 games. Lost for the rest of the year with a gruesome knee injury suffered in a home plate collision in early July in Washington. Just tore apart the ACL in his right knee.
Coming up through the Reds organization along with Devin Mesoraco, there were a lot of Reds fans that thought they traded the wrong catcher. Grandal came here in the Matt Latos deal along with Yonder Alonso and Edinson Volquez, Brad Boxberger. Well, Devin Mesoraco hitting .307 with 14 homers and 40 driven in. OPS right at 1,000 going into play today. I think the Reds kept the right guy, at least for now.
Mesoraco homered in 5 straight games earlier this month. And now you've got Grandal still trying to settle in as a major leaguer. He was on a grueling rehab program this winter trying to come back from that torn ACL in his right knee. And he vowed last year he'd be back in time for opening day and worked on an accelerated program that had him back in only 8 months. Worked out at rehab facilities in Arizona. Actually got married in October and went through 1 physical therapy session on the day of his wedding. Couple honeymooned in Bora Bora. Grandal said his wife would be on the beach reading a book, and he was running sprints in the ocean following some water exercises the trainers had given him. And Bolsinger really having trouble throwing strikes here. He walked Headley to open up the 4th, and now 3-2 on Grandal.
How about that after a 3rd inning when he threw 11 pitches, 9 for strikes, struck out the side, and now can't find the zone.
Remarkable. Medica on deck. Called strike 3. 5 strikeouts for Bolsinger. 1 down in the 4th.
Curveball. Grandal probably sitting fastball all the way a little higher than you would normally like it, but fooled Grandal completely.
Mike Bolsinger has struck out 5 of the last 7 Padres he's faced. 1 out, Tommy Medica steps in. Medica flied out his first time. Great case of Bolsinger there, and Josh Colmenter talked about this as being a big key for him lately, is being able to throw a big pitch when you really need it. Because if he misses with that one, suddenly it's 2 on, nobody out. And again, he's behind now on Medica, 2-0. What's happened to the strike zone? 33 strikes, 24 balls so far for Mike Bolsinger. Speaking of catchers, Tommy Medica was a guy drafted by the Padres as a catcher in 2010 out of Santa Clara. Base hitting to left. Second hit for the Padres, 2 on, 1 out.
Just the difference in swings that you get against you as a pitcher when you're ahead in the count and when the hitter's ahead in the count. Much more aggressive. Always looking fastball wherever their happy zone is, middle in, up and away, whatever the case may be, and putting an aggressive swing on those pitches.
Cameron Maybin walked his first time. Yes, he went. Mark Carlson at first. And with the way this inning has been going, Bolsinger will certainly sign up for a strike one. Talking about Grandal, who had that devastating knee injury. Maybin's another guy. He's had all kinds of injury issues. Played only 14 games all of last year. Tore a ligament in his left knee, came back, then hurt his wrist and needed surgery. There's a strike, 1-2. And when you look at the track record here of Josh Burns, the GM, and trying to assemble a team, all the parts were never out there at the same time. Well, hit down the right field line. This could be trouble, and it is off the wall. Headley is being waved home. Here's the throw from Parra, and it's a tie ball game. Walk bites Bolsinger. It's 1-1.
Maybin showing some opposite field power here. A breaking ball that stayed up and out over the plate. Parra plays it perfectly on the carom off of that right field wall, but strong throw to home plate just a little bit too late as you see Headley scoring behind Miguel Montero to tie it up.
Alexi Amarista, center field, Inciarte. Medica will tag, and he will score. It's 2-1 San Diego. And Mike Bolsinger blew away the side in the third on 11 pitches, 3 strikeouts, but suddenly here in the fourth, it's a 2-1 Padres lead.
And they're not even going to mess around with Falou right here. Judging from Despaignet's first at bat, he's a very disinterested hitter. Why even take a chance with the number 8 guy if you feel like you can punch out the pitcher in the on-deck circle?
Irving Falou just picked up by the Padres on Thursday on waivers from Milwaukee. Bolsinger throws that a little high for Montero, and Maybin almost advances to third. He'll stay put after all, but we still have to execute this.
And after you've nearly thrown one wild one, what do you do on the next one?
Exactly.
That's what you do. Throw it up there firm.
Third walk by Bolsinger, that one intentional, and here is Drizomir Despaigne. The 25th pitch of this inning coming up. And around a second, right to Aaron Hill. Padres strand 2, but they get 2 through 4. D-backs trail at 2-1. Jack in the Box. If the D-backs hit a home run today, score a free Jumbo Jack tomorrow with a purchase of a large drink. Petco Park, San Diego, Diamondbacks a chance to sweep the Padres, but they trail 2-1 now as we start the 5th inning. David Peralta, Nick Ahmed, and Mike Bolsinger. 7-8-9 against Odrisamer Despaigne. Nick Ahmed just called up. Chris Owings went on the DL. Ahmed hit into a double play in his first career big league at bat, and there has been a transaction to pass along to you with Owings on the DL, Ahmed here. The Diamondbacks have acquired infielder Ronnie Cedeno from the Phillies for AAA catcher Ray Willie Gomez. So Cedeno will go to AAA Reno and play for the Aces. They must be a man down shortstop-wise. We have all their guys here.
Yeah, it remains to be seen. I mean, Kirk Gibson admitted it was getting tough to find playing time for Didi, Aaron Hill, and Chris Owings up the middle. 2 positions for 3 players. Owings goes down. Another middle infielder comes up. Well, just thinking out loud here, maybe Ronnie Cedeno eventually comes up here and is just a backup infielder. And Nick Ahmed goes back to AAA and plays every day, because you certainly don't want Nick Ahmed sitting around very long between starts.
Peralta rifles that one down the right field line. Cedeno was a Padre last year. In fact, I think he got hit in the head in a game by Heath Bell, if I recall. He was playing with San Diego last year. Peralta lines that one into right field. Kenorfi is over there to cut it off. Leadoff single for David Peralta. 3rd hit for the D-backs, and here is Nick Ahmed. Grounded out into a double play in his first big league at bat. His wife Amanda is with us this afternoon. Nick was 1 for 5 for the Reno Aces at Albuquerque last night. And here he is today in his major league debut. Sure, you want to jump out of your shoes, as Alan Trammell and Todd Walsh talked about, if you're Nick Ahmed in this spot. And it can't be easier facing a guy like Odrisamer Despaigne, who comes at you with all kinds of stuff, 65-mile-an-hour slow balls and different arm angles and crooked hat, the whole thing.
You know, unfortunately, you don't get a choice of who you get to face in your big league debut. You'd like to face a guy that throws a lot of fastballs, straight fastballs, throws a lot of strikes, so you could go up there and get your swings in, but you take them as they come. Challenge here for the youngster. Let's see if he's up to it today.
Got Despaigne, a guy who's pitched 1 game in the big leagues, a handful of games in the minors, and other than that has Played all his baseball for Industriales in Cuba. So there's not a gigantic scouting book out there on him. One and two. Nick Ahmed has heard for a long time now that he can't hit. In fact, his college coach at UConn used to tell him that to motivate him. He said this spring, people say I can't hit. I don't listen because I know I'm going to hit. Well, he hit at AAA Reno, .324. He says that kind of talk is fuel on the fire. 2-2. Born in Springfield, Massachusetts, went to high school in Western Mass. Was 21-3 as a high school pitcher. He's got a really strong throwing arm. And played college ball at UConn, hit .326 for the Huskies. Second round pick by the Braves in 2011. There goes Peralta. Ahmed fouls that one off. Two balls and two strikes.
See Nick Ahmed wearing that thumb protector on the right hand, and much like Martin Prado, the big part of the protective padding is on the top of his thumb, the smaller part underneath. It all depends on where you get those bone bruises on your thumb.
Drives that one into right. Denorfia makes his sliding ground. Ahmed 0 for 2. Amanda will wait at least one more AB for the first big league hit.
Like that might drop in momentarily. Chris Denorfia still runs very well. Got a good jump on that ball coming straight in. We're going to have to wait one more at bat.
She seems very calm.
Like a duck, though. On the surface, everything looks calm and easy, but underneath, you're paddling like crazy.
So another piece from the Martin Prado, Justin Upton deal has seen time for the Diamondbacks at this level. Oh, 1-1 to Mike Bolsinger. Rounded out his first 10. Bolsinger gets the bump down. Edley has one play as Peralta moves up. 5-4 on the sacrifice. Peralta to second. You'll recall Justin Upton and Chris Johnson went to Atlanta. We've seen, of course, Martin Prado and Randall Delgado. Zeke Sproul last year, a couple of times this year. Now Nick Ahmed. And the guy who might be, big picture, 10 years from now, the best player in that deal, might be the one guy we haven't seen, Brandon Drury, the third base prospect, who by many accounts is a big league hitter. Diamondbacks have Jake Lamb and Brandon Drury in their system at third base. Lamb is one step ahead organizationally. It's a lot of depth acquired in that deal. Ender and Ciarte. 67 from Despaigne, 0-1. Ender singled, stole the base, and scored a run in the first. Well, the reason Air Despaigne now at 70 pitches, only 41 for strikes. The hit by Peralta was the first D-backs hit since the first inning. And Miguel Montero RBI single that has produced the only D-backs run, 0-2. When scouts tell me about Brandon Drury, guys that have seen him, they say that guy's a big leaguer. You got to watch in the system. 0-2 is bounced to second base, serving Falou. Espanier strands the leadoff single, bottom 5 on the way. D-backs trail it 2-1. Hey fans, Sunday, July 20th, 3 weeks from today, Star Wars Day at Chase Field. Bring out your lightsaber, join the D-backs in defending the ballpark from the dark side. As they take on the Cubs, all fans in costume can participate in a pregame parade around the warning track. But only fans who purchase a special Star Wars Day ticket package will get the custom Josh Cole Mentor Jedi bobblehead. You have to buy the ticket package to get the bobblehead. Keep that in mind. Orfeo back to the mound. Bolsinger retires it. And keep this in mind as well. We have a limited number of Star Wars Day ticket packages available, and you have to get the bobblehead through the ticket package. So visit dbacks.com/Star Wars today for tickets. Diamondbacks fans and team employees here. Diamondbacks hosting about 150 employees this weekend. Orfeo for 3. Here's Seth Smith. Smith has grounded out and struck out. Diamondbacks beginning play today, 4th in the National League West, just ahead of the Padres in the division. And only 1 game behind the Rockies for 3rd place. The Giants lead atop the NL West, suddenly down to 1 game ahead of that team from Los Angeles. And news out of Giants camp today, Sergio Romo no longer the closer. He's had some issues, and so Bruce Bochy says they will go by committee until they can get Romo figured out. There's the NL West. It's tightening up. 1-2 on Seth Smith. Diamondbacks have won 14 of their last 21 against the division. Mike Bolsinger, 75 pitches, 44 strikes, coming off that terrific effort against the Giants when he left with 2 outs in the game. Although the Diamondbacks just could not get him any runs against Madison Bumgarner. He lost the game 3-1. His previous start, June 17th against the Brewers, pitched pretty well there, worked into the 7th, gave up 7 hits. Called strike 3. 6 strikeouts for Mike Bolsinger. 2 down in the 5th.
Well located right there. A little bit of movement on that outside corner. His command has been something to watch today. He's been very sharp at times. At other times, it looks like he has no idea where the ball going. I guess it's an effectively wild approach.
Wild thing. Chase Headley lines that to right center field. Ender Inciarte covers some ground, and Bolsinger works a quick 5th inning to keep it a 2-1 ball game. CenturyLink, your link to what's next, coming up in the 6th. It's Goldie. Vote Goldie. It's your duty as an American. All-Star Game July 15th only on Fox. Time is running out to vote for your 2014 MLB All-Stars. Vote Goldie. You can do so up to 35 times at dbacks.com. Vote exclusively at dbacks.com or on your mobile phone. And the voting ends this week, Thursday, July 3rd at 11:59 p.m. Eastern Time. So get out the vote. America's first baseman, leading the guy from the Dodgers atop the National League balloting. Gerardo Parra, Paul Goldschmidt, Miguel Montero, 2, 3, and 4 for the Diamondbacks here in the 6th inning against Odrizamir Despaigne, who leads it 2-1. He's given up only 3 hits so far. Just foul, says Mark Carlson down in front. Ronald Parra has played a fair amount at Petco Park. He's never hit all that much here. 45 games now at Petco. He's just about 230 or so, a couple of home runs. Wow, this is a tough crowd.
Ooh.
Been that kind of year in San Diego. She's going to get another chance right here. Nope. Doesn't get the carry.
Fan interference.
One and 2. Swing and bunt. Rondal calls off Despaigne. The pitcher picks it up and throws him out. Vote Goldie. Don't forget, The All-Star Game, July 15th, only on Fox. Got about a 700,000 vote lead over the other guy. He has walked and struck out, 0 for 1. All-Star Game, Target Field, Minneapolis, only on Fox. Goldie has walked 6th time in the series. The D-backs record for walks in a series is 7. Gonzo in 02, Adam Dunn in 08. Nobody wanted to pitch to Gonzo.
No. Not too many people want to pitch to Goldie either. He hasn't been able to swing the bat yet today. He struck out looking in his last at bat back in the 3rd inning, but he has yet to get that bat off his shoulder today. Just hasn't found a pitch to his liking.
He's ahead 3-0. One of the things Kirk Gibson has talked about, and he admires about Goldie, not just the work ethic, but the stubbornness in his approach and what he's trying to do up there. You cannot get him to change his game plan, and he has tied the Diamondbacks record by walking 7 times in one series. "80 pitches now for Despaigne, 46 for strikes. And Despaigne, who did not walk a batter in his big league debut, went 7 innings, has walked 4 today. Goldie twice. Miguel Montero, an RBI single in the 1st. He's 1 for 2.
This might be a situation where you see Goldie try to get a walking lead over there at first base and steal that bag. I mentioned the issues that Grandal has had behind the plate this year, throwing out less than 10% of the opposing base stealers.
Goldie 7 out of 9 in his stolen base attempts this year. That's a strike, says Quinn Wolcott, 1-1.
You see Grandal on that outside corner and not only reaching back with the glove hand, but his entire body leaning toward that inside corner. That made it appear that that ball was way off the plate. Looked like it might have just caught the corner.
Tommy Medica, 3-6-3. D-backs trail it 2-1. On Fox Sports Arizona is brought to you in part by Lone Butte Casino. You're in for more winning moments at Lone Butte Casino. And by Cox Communications. Bundle and save with Cox. San Diego, California. Diamondbacks trail at 2-1, home half of the sixth. It'll be Yasmani Grandal, Tommy Medica, and Cameron Maben against Mike Bolsinger, who has struck out 6 so far, given up only 3 hits. And his command has come and gone at times. 77 pitches, 46 for strikes. Struck out the side in order on 11 pitches in the third. But then had a rough fourth, bounced back with a quick 1-2-3 fifth. Grandal has singled and struck out 1 for 2. And a pretty well-pitched ball game. Not the prettiest of efforts from either guy, but very effective. 1-2 now on Grandal. You've got Bolsinger, the rookie for the Diamondbacks, and you've got Odrisamer Despaigne, the Cuban defector, in just his second major league start for the Padres. Despaigne has faced only 1 over the minimum since the first inning. And the Diamondbacks got 2 singles and a walk. Off the glove of Bolsinger, and he can't find it. And somehow they got Grandal at first, says Mark Carlson. And we'll see if we get a challenge here from Bud Black, who's making a slow walk out to first base. We'll check Bolsinger, who landed awkwardly there on the underhand flip to Goldie.
Nice play, really sold out on that one. Got to that ball quickly. Once he found it, Grandal does not run well. Still had time to shovel on to Goldie for the out. But looked like he landed awkwardly on that right side.
Dave Roberts, the bench coach, is on the phone with the Padres video people, trying to get the thumbs up or down as to whether they should challenge or not. Ken Crenshaw, the D-backs trainer, is out to talk to Bolsinger. Very cordial discussion between Mark Carlson and Bud Black, and the Padres will challenge the call. Jerry Davis, the crew chief, will come in from third. Here's another look.
Gets a glove on it, knocks it straight up in the air, has no idea where it is initially, and then is able to recover and shovel on. You can see he tried to get his right arm down to protect himself against his fall right there. Ken Crenshaw, the Diamondbacks athletic trainer, out there. They're going to let him throw a few pitches off the mound here and see how he feels.
Mike Harkey is out there as well. And while Mark Carlson and Jerry Davis look at that replay, you've got plate umpire Quinn Walcott out at the mound to look at Bolsinger, who appears to be okay. And now we'll await the verdict from New York. Certainly looked to the naked eye like Grandal beat the throw. There's a lot of outrage from everybody in the ballpark when Mark Carlson signaled out at first. But the Padres saw enough with their video people to use their challenge here in the sixth. One more look. And the ball is in the back of the mitt.
Yeah, that one's close.
But it has to be clear and convincing to overturn the call on the field. If you don't get enough, it would be ruled call stand, which means there wasn't enough evidence to overturn the call. So the odds in the Diamondbacks' favor there. You have to definitively conclude that the call being reviewed was incorrect. Last night we saw a challenge that took about 3 minutes, and the call is out at first. So the Padres lose their challenge. Call stands, which means there was no clear and convincing evidence to overturn it. So a nice play by Bolsinger to get Grandal for the first out here in the sixth.
bigger issue is how is Mike Bolsinger. He threw a few warm-up pitches to Miguel Montero under the watchful eye of Ken Crenshaw and declared himself ready to go. We'll keep a close eye on him here.
Tommy Medica singled and scored his last time. It might be hard to tell if Bolsinger is feeling okay or not because he has, at times, Bob, been really wild today. At other times, extremely effective. Tuno. Doesn't look real comfortable out there. 3-0.
I think we're going to have to see some activity in that bullpen just in case. As you said, it's kind of hard to tell with Mike Bolsinger today because he has sprayed him around pretty good at times, been very good at other times, but given the circumstances and the way he reacted after that defensive play and then immediately falling behind 3-0 on the next hitter, a lot of guys starting to move around in that Diamondbacks bullpen.
So as a result, he's been not nearly efficient as he was his last time out against the Giants. Medica swings through that one. It's full 3-2. Bolsinger now at 86 pitches. He threw 89 pitches to get through 7 2/3 in that loss to San Francisco a week ago today. Here's the 3-2. Ball 4. Fourth walk issued by Bolsinger. One was intentional.
Bolsinger very slow getting up. This did not look right. Walked it off a little bit, shook it out, moved his arm up above his shoulder. As we mentioned, took a couple of warm-up pitches and promptly walks the next hitter after that play.
I would think that if you're Mike Bolsinger, a 26-year-old rookie, the guy that was a 15th round draft pick out of Arkansas, they'll have to drag you off the field to get you out of the ball game.
Well, they all lie to you anyway. This is where you really have to use your eyes and your own experience in the game as a manager and a pitching coach, and knowing what they know about Mike Bolsinger and how he looks when he's right. You have to really watch with a close eye.
Swing and bunt, another tough play for Bolsinger. Maben beats it out. Goldie scoops it safely, but it's a base hit for Maben, his second today. He's been aboard all 3 times. A walk, a double, now an infield single.
That dreaded swinging bunt. Saw one earlier in the game for Ender Inciarte that worked out well. Bolsinger just took a little bit too long getting ready to throw that ball onto first base. Nice pick by Goldie, but Maben runs pretty well.
Is there a guy in baseball that can get a longer stretch into that bag at first than Cameron Maben with those Spider-Man legs he's got? Might have a challenge here. Alan Tranel did get a call from Alan Campbell, the D-backs video coordinator, and gave Kirk Gibson a thumbs up, and now the Diamondbacks, it appears, will challenge this call at first base. So a rough half inning here for Mark Carlson at first. And the Diamondbacks are challenging the call. So that's 2 challenges at first base in a span of 3 hitters. Welcome to expanded replay, Bob Brenly.
Just want to get it right, that's all. Get it right.
And this is your guy, too, Mark Carlson.
Well, unfortunately, I think he did get it right this time. It looked to me like Maben was on the bag before that ball was all the way into the back of Goldie's glove. I mean, sometimes we're talking about the difference of a couple of inches. The ball could actually enter the glove, but it's not in the back of the glove.
That's what happens when you're going to look at these things frame by frame. You have to define when is it a catch, and a catch is right there. Back of the mitt.
That's a tough one, but it looked to me like Maben was on the bag.
This one looks like it's going to be a little quicker, and the call is out at first.
Thank you.
Diamondbacks win the challenge. They get the call overturned. And if you're wondering how replay is working, nearly 52% of calls challenged by major league managers this year have been overturned, including this one. And so Kirk Gibson retains his challenge.
That doesn't even include all the calls that managers have been unable to challenge because they lost their challenge earlier in the ball game, and then subsequent plays that possibly could have gone the wrong way. You have no recourse.
So a pair of calls at first and a span of 3 batters go as 1 to 3 putouts. The Padres lost their challenge. The Diamondbacks won theirs. And now here's Alexi Amarista with Medica at second and 2 outs. One and 2. Pretty adventurous inning for Mike Bolsinger out there. A couple of challenges. He apparently hurt himself on one play. He's got a walk that's standing at second base. And a 1-2 count on Amarista. Trying to preserve a 2-1 deficit here. 2-2. Amazing that call was so quick. On the ground to first, easy play for Goldie. And so Bolsinger escapes. He is through 6, but the Diamondbacks trail it 2-1.
To play some serious defense in that inning. A couple of challenges down at first base. And thanks to Phantom Cam, we're going to get a real good look. This was the first one, Yasmani Grandal. Boy, that one is still very close. And the second one with Cameron Maben, upon further review, I do think they got this right. He's out. The ball hits Paul Goldschmidt down in the palm of the glove. It didn't go all the way into the back of the webbing, and when it hits the palm of the glove, that's considered to be in the glove. So they got the second one right, no doubt about it. First one, I'm still not so sure.
One of the great benefits of having Fox Sports' Phantom Cam in the ballpark is you can really get some definitive calls and keep that in mind come postseason time when Fox brings you postseason baseball. You've got Phantom Cam to really look at it frame by frame, and as we just saw, it really does make a difference when trying to decide what happens on the field, the quality of the camera.
And the bottom line is Mike Bolsinger has been tested out there today. A couple of tap backers to the mound he's had to handle. Got over to cover first base on a 4-1 put out at first. We've seen a couple of those recently.
He's had 3 pretty good starts in a row now. And of course, don't forget they'll have Fox Sports' Phantom Cam at the All-Star Game July 15th from Target Field in Minneapolis. And we could see a scenario in which Phantom Cam decides home field advantage in the World Series. We'll check that out at the All-Star Game. There is Phantom Cam. They'll have that at the All-Star Game July 15th on Fox. And if it comes down to a big play, they use Phantom Cam, call gets overturned, whatever. And might decide whether the Diamondbacks are at home or on the road in the series. 2-2 on Aaron Hill. Game out of 3rd place, I'm just saying.
You never know.
Long way to go here, Bob.
Well, there's 42 out of 50 runs like the Dodgers did last year while the rest of the division sputters along.
42-8. Do that.
I like the way you think.
You know me, positivity.
Absolutely.
Always looking on the bright side of things. 3-2. Reaches up and takes a base hit away from Aaron Hill. Hang with him.
Yeah, that's a big hang with him right there. Good approach that time by Aaron. We've talked about the fact he's a dead pull hitter, but in the 2-strike count was just looking to put the ball in play hard somewhere, and he did that, but unfortunately right at the Padre first baseman.
Martin Prado has struck out and hit into a double play, and if you read the New York Daily News today, you'll see the great columnist Bill Madden writing about the trade deadline. And Martin Prado is mentioned. He looks at strike one. Madden writes, the Yankees ought to see what the asking price is for Martin Prado. A plus clubhouse guy the Yankees could plug in at third base and be covered there for the next couple of years. It's hard to argue that Prado to the Yankees, certainly no one wants to see Martin Prado leave here, but he would be a perfect fit for that ball club the way they're currently constructed. You could play him at third, you could play him at second, 2 positions that have kind of been sinkholes for the Yankees lately. Don't forget they still owe A-Rod $61 million, but they could just give him a check and send him on his way, which there's a decent chance they'll do. Two and one. Trade deadline is going to be exciting. A lot of speculation in Toronto that the Blue Jays might be after the Padres third baseman Chase Headley. They're without Brett Lawrie, who's got a broken finger. Headley's a free agent after this year. 3-2 now. And there's some discussion that you could trade for Headley if you're Alex Anthopoulos, and then when Lawrie comes back, move him to second base. And have a Headley, Reyes, Lawrie infield. Pretty good.
Lawrie played a lot of second base in the minor leagues, coming up with the Milwaukee Brewers.
It's going to be an interesting month, that's for sure. A lot of teams in contention. 3-2. In the air left field, Seth Smith trying to find it in that bright sky. Knocks it down, 2 outs. It was a rough first inning for the Padres. David Peralta steps in. He has reached safely twice today, a walk and a single. Drizomir Despaigne gave up 2 singles and a walk in that first. Peralta's aboard for the 3rd time. He's got his 2nd hit.
Peralta has 2 hits since that first inning. Despaigne has walked 3 since the first inning, but all 3 walks were eliminated via the double play ball.
Amazing. He has faced up until this point just 1 over the minimum since the start of the 2nd inning. after giving up 2 singles and a walk in the first. Nick Ahmed looking for his first major league hit in his big league debut. Hit into a 4-6-3 in the second, lined out to right in the fifth. His wife Amanda here with us at Petco Park today, after playing at Albuquerque last night. So he didn't have to travel too far to get here. Pitcher spot is due up next. Roger Kieschnick in the on-deck circle. 1-1. Matt Stites, former Padre farmhand, appears ready in the Diamondback bullpen through 13 pitches last night.
These 2 starters very similar today. They've gotten into some trouble. They've managed to make good pitches when they've needed them the most. For Despaigne, 7 3-ball counts in this game. But on those 3-0, 3-1, 3-2 pitches, that's usually when he's made his best pitch.
Odrizamir Despaigne, Cuban defector, his second major league start. 1-1 to Nick Ahmed, keeping a close eye on Peralta. Remember, in this situation, last time they sent Peralta and Ahmed fouled a pitch off, so there was a play on that time. One misses, 2 balls and a strike. Despaigne now at 100 pitches. Sorry, Bob, 57 for strikes.
I'm just going to say one thing about Despaigne. It looks like he's not real willing to pitch inside to a lot of guys. Most everything has been away, away, away. Occasionally he'll miss inside. Once he missed behind Aaron Hill, but usually he's just trying to work that outside part of the plate out toward the corner. They're going out there once again.
And as a result, they align that way defensively. Cameron Maybin in center field is shaded over toward right center. That's a big left center field gap here in this ballpark. Room out there for Ahmed. 2-1 has chopped up the third base line and foul. D-backs organizational depth in the middle infield has been getting a lot of attention lately. Seeing another example of that today with Nick Ahmed's major league debut. Kevin Towers, D-backs GM, said earlier this month he gets calls every day about Nick Ahmed from probably 20 other major league ball clubs that think he is big league ready at shortstop. Now that the bat has caught up to the glove in his age 24 season.
6 defensive innings for the Diamondbacks today. Nick Ahmed has yet to touch a baseball.
I thought the ball always finds you.
Apparently not.
Kind of amazing the first one didn't go right to him.
Yeah.
Hitting .324 this year at AAA Reno. 2 home runs. 2 balls and 2 strikes. And he's got his first major league hit. Welcome to the big leagues, Nick Ahmed.
Welcome to the club. First of many. That's going to end up on his mantle back home. A nice approach right there. I just mentioned that Despaigne working away, away, away. And once again, he tries to go away, but leaves it up over the heart of the plate. Nick uses that hole on the right side of the infield. Nicely done.
Wife Amanda in the middle there. All smiles. And that is going to be it in his second major league appearance for Odrizamir Despaigne. He leaves responsible for 2 base runners in the 7th, but leads at 2-1. Pitching change back after this. Purchase any D-backs mini plan and you'll get a free Arizona Diamondbacks soccer scarf. Mini plans are available for as few as just 4 games, and they start at only $48. Plus, if you spend $100 or more, you'll also get free D-Bucks. You can use those on concessions and merchandise throughout Chase Field. For more information, visit dbacks.com/mini plan. For the 3rd time in 3 games in this series, the D-backs will face Kevin Quackenbush and his beard.
2/3 of an inning in each of his previous 2 appearances. Last night struck out a batter, otherwise zeros across the board. Game 1 of this series, he gave up a hit and a walk, but no runs.
David Peralta, the runner at second. Nick Ahmed at first after his first major league hit, and Roger Kieschnick will hit for Bolsinger.
He's a little bit of a head scratcher for Bud Black, a guy that normally looks to play those matchups. He's got his lefty Torres warmed and ready to go in the bullpen, and with Kieschnick pinch hitting here in the pitcher spot, 3 consecutive left-handed hitters, but goes with the righty Quackenbush instead.
Roger struck out in a pinch hit appearance in the 9th inning last night, and a pinch hit single in the 8th inning on Friday. 1-1. He has got 5 hits in 15 at bats since he rejoined the Diamondbacks from Reno. Drizemir Despaigne, 102 pitches, only 59 for strikes. He was a little bit all over the place, but certainly effective. Responsible for 2 base runners. 1-1 to Kieschnick. Diamondbacks have 5 hits in the ball game, all singles. Despaigne walked 4.
We heard the comparison for Despaigne, a little bit like Livan Hernandez with the arm angles and the changing speeds, and that was a trademark of Livan Hernandez as well. He didn't care about pitch count. He didn't care about walking guys. He would go through that lineup and pitch very carefully to the guys that could hurt him. Didn't care if he walked them.
Kieschnick stays alive. Drizemir Despaigne, 27-year-old. Just signed with the Padres in May. His 2nd big league start. 1-2 on Kieschnick. That's out of play. Two and two.
Boy, what a difference. I talk about it every time we see Roger Kieschnick taking it back. He just looks so much different this time around. Very comfortable, laying off some borderline pitches. When he gets strikes, he's putting a good swing on it. I think he was just a little bit of a deer in the headlights his first go-around this year, but feels like he belongs here this time.
0-7 with 5 strikeouts. His first go-around. Strikes out here. Quackenbush strands 2. Diamondbacks still trail it 2-1. And as we get set to stretch here at Petco Park, home half of the 7th coming up. We will stay right here in San Diego as the Padres honor America, and we will join them here on Fox Sports Arizona.
Salute to military children. Please stand and welcome 17-year-old Jasmine Rogers of San Diego. Her father, Major Jacques Rogers, is currently deployed. Please sing along as Jasmine presents God Bless America.
God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with the light from above, from the mountains to the prairies, to the oceans wide with foam. God bless America, my home sweet
Our APS Energy All-Stars for the ball game today are two starting pitchers, Odrisamir Despaigne for the Padres, Mike Bolsinger for the Diamondbacks. It wasn't always pretty, Bob, but both guys certainly effective.
Yeah, neither guy got hit very hard in the ball game today. They each walked 4 opposing batters, which made things interesting. But as we've talked about, both guys able to come up with big pitches when they needed them.
And to start the 7th for the D-backs now, it's former Padre farmhand Matt Stites. And so far, what we've seen of Matt Stites, there's a lot to like. A hard thrower, gets it into the high 90s, gets on hitters quickly. It's got that power slider he can throw up into the high 80s. And a little bit of a high wire act from time to time, but you can certainly see the stuff is there. Moving Falou, tough bunt. Stites, nice play to throw him out.
Disaster written all over. Good bunt by Falou and a nice play by Stites, but his defensive fielding took him almost into the baseline. I'm not sure how that ball got by Falou and into the glove of Paul Goldschmidt, but I'm very glad that it did. Oh, that's a nice bunt and a nicer play.
Stites retires Irving Falou with 1 pitch. And Venable will come up and hit for Quackenbush. Will Venable 0 for 4 Friday night with 3 strikeouts. We did not see him last night.
Stites came in relief of Comenter in the ball game last night, struck out the first batter he faced, and then walked a man to load the bases, but recorded his 2nd strikeout to strand the bases loaded.
See Venable with an average this year, a very disappointing season for him. Under 200. For the month of June so far, Venable has 15 strikeouts and only 9 hits. Coming off the year last year in which he had a career-high 22 homers. Tough month for Will Venable. And a tough year. 1-1. '97. Stites strikes out Venable. 2 down. Let's go to Todd.
All right, guys. Well, I have to tell you, as part of the story arc of today, of course, is the Major League debut of Nick Ahmed. We've been showing his lovely wife, Amanda, and due to technical difficulties with our wireless microphone, we got her the sweet upgrade to the front row, which was not part of the deal, Amanda, but thank you for coming down here. This is pretty good, huh?
Yeah, it's great.
Well, what's the day been like for you just to be here to watch this, and you just saw his first Major League hit?
It's intense. A lot of emotions are going on. We've been together since high school, so I've seen him sorry, he just made a great play.
Yes, he did. His first in the infield, by the way.
But I've been seeing him play at the high school level, college, and now this, so it's just incredible, amazing.
High school sweethearts, you've been married less than a year, huh?
Yeah, less than a year.
This is the life. I mean, I hope you're enjoying every single moment of this.
Oh, I am. We're so blessed. It's unbelievable.
He said, as Kirk Gibson comes to the mound, because I'm going to have to go, but he said he didn't sleep last night. The Reno Aces played a great joke on him. But I'm telling you, he handled today very well. Did you get that sense, too?
Yeah, he keeps himself composed all the time, so.
It's great to see you. You don't have to leave here, but I know you got some friends up there. This is kind of, a high ticket.
On camera, so.
I owe you one. I'll never forget this. Thank you, man.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
Amanda Ahmed hanging out down here. She's going to make her way back up. We're going to take a break. Pitching change here at Petco Park. We'll be back with that and the rest of this one in a matter of moments on Fox Sports Arizona.
Shows that range. Long strides up the middle. Nice diving stop. Just realized he didn't have enough time to get the out at first. But first real glimpse here at the major league level of the kind of ground that Nick Ahmed is able to cover. You saw Aaron Hill right there helping out the youngster a little bit, throwing up the stop sign. Don't waste the throw.
Won a Gold Glove last year as the best defensive shortstop in all of minor league baseball. And Kevin Towers has repeatedly insisted that Ahmed is probably the best defensive shortstop the Diamondbacks have at any level. Former Padre, the iron lefty Joe Thatcher comes in with D'Onofrio aboard at first. And 2 outs. Seth Smith, the scheduled hitter. Instead, it's Carlos Quentin. As Bud Black gets the right-hand batter in there. Quentin has not been able to get his season started hitting under 180. He's played in only 32 games.
This is an odd move by Bud Black. I mean, got the righty on lefty matchup, but Seth Smith is hitting for a higher average against left-handed pitchers than Carlos Quentin.
Keep in mind also that Quentin is in a horrific slump right now. He's got 5 hits in his last 57 at-bats.
And another thing to consider, I mean, hopefully we'll get some quick outs and we won't have to worry about it again. But if the lineup does roll around, Seth Smith's spot would have come up again. And the Diamondbacks, as we know, finish out with right-handers. Should they be able to take a lead in this game?
1-2. Entire Padres front office and roster in flux. Quentin could be on his way out in San Diego. There have been recent reports that he would consider waiving his no-trade clause for a deal to the right American League team where he could DH and take some pressure off those knees. Cleveland and Boston, 2 teams that have surfaced as possible American League spots for Quentin, the former Diamondback. He's only about halfway through a 3-year, $27 million contract. So there's some money involved as well. Two and two. So in this ball game, the Padres have seen the 2 pitchers that they traded to get Ian Kennedy. First Matt Stites and now Joe Thatcher. Carlos Quentin missed the Padres' first 39 games, had a bone bruise in his left knee. Had to be shut down at the end of July last year with a strain in his right knee, the same right knee that needed surgery in September. Now had 3 surgeries on that right knee in the last year and a half. Popped him up. We'll see if Montero has room. It's out of play. Nice catch there. Ryan the Gilligan hat.
I think he was on our boat the other day.
He must have been the one that caught a fish.
He caught a fish, yeah.
Have you gotten your sea legs back?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Off day tomorrow in Pittsburgh.
Some river fishing.
River fishing.
2 and 2. This was the big winner in the fishing excursion. Wow, it looks like a real fighter.
He was. He put up a heck of a battle.
Is that bait or the fish?
Well, actually, the bait that I had on was slightly larger than the fish.
That's embarrassing. Is that legal?
Oh,
now, what is that? What is
a
that?
rock bass.
A rock bass.
A very, very small rock
it's
bass.
Smaller than your hand.
Well, what can I say?
Rocking the Reno Aces cap. I like that.
I like that.
It's quite a trip, I'm sure. I've seen pictures of you from your fishing trips, and usually there's a fish about the size of a Cadillac, but that
not this one.
A little smaller.
Yeah, it was just the Pacific Ocean, for crying out loud. I caught the smallest fish in the Pacific Ocean.
Well, it's the size of the fight in the fish. Denorfia takes off. That's fouled out. And the dog in the fight or the fish in the ocean is one of those.
We caught bigger fish out of mud puddles when we went on our last off day at home. And I don't think there's as many fish in that ocean as people think there are.
Who knows what you're going to catch in Pittsburgh? Some of the water in those rivers. A spare tire. 3-2.
Taking a lot of abuse from the boys in the truck, one of whom was on the trip with us, and I didn't see any pictures of his fish.
Fair point. Three and two. He strikes out Carlos Quentin. You can see the frustration right there for the Padre pinch hitter. And we'll go to the 8th. Diamondbacks trail it 2-1. A full day of MLB action, beginning with the D-backs taking on the Braves on Fox Sports 1. Then it's Baseball Night in America on Fox, Giants and Padres. Our MLB doubleheader begins Saturday, 12:30 Pacific on Fox Sports 1 and continues at 4 on Fox. Don't forget, Fox the home for the Major League Baseball All-Star Game, July 15th from Target Field in Minneapolis. 8th inning at Petco Park. Joaquin Benoit is the new pitcher for the Padres. We saw him last night. He threw only 8 pitches. A couple of defensive changes behind him as Bud Black maneuvers his outfield as he tends to do. Benoit's 33rd appearance, an excellent 1.38 ERA. And this is another guy that the Padres are getting a lot of calls about reportedly. Chris Denorfia moves over from right field to left, takes over for Seth Smith, and Will Venable replaces Denorfia in right.
Yeah, because of the offensive struggles and sometimes the physical struggles of a couple of the Padre outfielders, we haven't seen Bud Black maneuvering nearly as much as he usually does. It's not unusual for Chris Denorfia or Will Venable to play all 3 outfield positions in the same game.
I know, it's been a nice break.
Yeah.
Usually they're crossing out everything in the Padre lineup by the time Bud Black gets done with you. 1-0 to Ender Inciarte. Singled and scored in the first. He's 1 for 3. Diamondbacks trying to lock down their second series sweep of the year, but they trail it here 2-1 in the game. They have not swept a series in San Diego since April of 2006. Kirk Gibson's team beginning play today, 4th in the National League West, just percentage points ahead of San Diego. And only 1 game behind the Rockies for 3rd in the division. 1-1 to Inciarte is a strike, 1-2. Ender Inciarte has now hit safely in 19 of his last 23 games. Batting right about 300 over that span. He's hit safely in 6 straight. Lifts this in the air to left. Here comes the Norfield. Tracks it down, 1 away. Well, it's that time again. Thank you for tweeting us your fan photos on the Twitter using the hashtag AZFanPhoto. And tonight's winner here in our series finale in San Diego is, dramatic pause, Marty. What's going on back there?
I have to check with Richard. Pinch hitting for Rodrigo Lopez.
Oh, those are the seats at Chase Field. Those are the
upgraded seats. Yeah, okay.
So Marty got upgraded and got his picture selected, apparently by Richard, as our AT&T fan photo. So thanks to all of you who tweeted in your fan photos. And decent start for Richard in place of Rodrigo Lopez. Some work to do, though.
Richard's a big fan of reclining seats.
Oh. You can't get the guy up.
And afternoon naps.
Yep. Between he and Leo Gilmartin, forget it. Parra 0 for 3. Brad Ziegler and Evan Marshall. Ziegler has pitched in both games in the series so far. And we have yet to see the rookie right-hander. 1-1 to Parra. Actually been a nice break for Evan Marshall, who has worked a lot lately. But now has not pitched since the 14-inning game against the Indians. So it's been almost a full week. 2-1. In the air, right center field. Venable and Maben are over there. It'll be Will Venable. 2 down. Parra 0 for 4. Forget, there's Brad Ziegler on the right-hand side of your screen immediately following the ball game. And then again tonight at 10 o'clock, the debut of the Brad Ziegler Cup of Coffee episode. It's coming up right after our ball game here today, and then again at 10 o'clock on Fox Sports Arizona. Here's Goldie.
4th at bat in the ball game. His previous 3 at bats, he's seen a total of 16 pitching as he's yet to swing the bat today.
He has walked twice and tied the D-backs record for walks in a series, either 3 or 4 games. He has walked 7 times in 3 games this weekend. It looks like he'll get a chance to go for the record here. 25 games at Petco Park. Goldie has 5 home runs here. He's a .265 career hitter in this ballpark. And Benoit going nowhere near him. It's 2-0. Although he didn't look too happy out there. Miggy homered here last night. Goldie still looking for his first base hit in this series. 1 for his last 18 up there with 10 strikeouts. 2-2. It's full, 3 balls and 2 strikes.
This is a potential hustle double situation if Goldie grounds one through the infield. Padres outfielders are really playing deep.
Bounces it to short. Alexi Amarista. 1-2-3-8. D-backs trail it 2-1. River game summary. Nick Ahmed in his major league debut. A base hit in the 7th inning, his first major league hit. He's 1 for 3. Mike Bolsinger gave up only 3 hits in 6, did walk 4. But the D-backs trail at 2-1, set for the home half of the 8th. And Nick Ahmed, this one's the moment in the 7th. Base hit into right. His first big league hit. Hit it to the right side all 3 times he was up. A 4-6-3 double play ball. He lined out to right. On a play, Denorfia made a nice running catch on it. Might have dropped in for a base hit. And finally, in his 3rd AB, shoots it into right field for his first major league hits. Nick Ahmed in his major league debut. And now another product of the Diamondback farm system is on the mound. Rookie right-hander Evan Marshall on for the 22nd time this year. Chase Headley, Osmani Grandal, Tommy Medica, 3, 4, and 5 in the San Diego 8th. Headley walked and scored in the 4th. He's 0 for 2. Diamondbacks have the overshift on again for Headley to switch hitter. Prado all by himself on the left-hand side. Five, 1 and 2.
Lead pipe sinker. That's what players call it, because when you hit it, it feels like you're hitting a lead pipe with a wooden bat. Or the bowling ball, same thing. Imagine taking a wooden bat and hitting a bowling ball. That's what it feels like when that sinker gets in on your hands or out near the end of the bat.
1 hop right to Nick Ahmed. The shortstop playing well over on the first base side of second. The shift was on. That's the first out. So Nick Ahmed finally has his first assist. And now they will take the shift off for Yasmani Grandal, who singled in the second. He's 1 for 3. I've seen Marshall and Stites this year. Both guys hard throwers from the right-hand side. Diamondback farmhands in this bullpen. And if you project over the course of the final 3 months of this season, let these guys get some work at this level. And then look at some of the other guys in the system and some guys already here. Diamondbacks are looking to have a pretty good bullpen next year. There's a lot of good talent back there. And Marshall has shown that he can be a workhorse. Houston Street, the closer. Another guy probably on the trading block right now. Two and two.
Well, the trade rumors surrounding the Padres and the Diamondbacks, all the players' names that have been mentioned, should just put a yard sale sign out in front of Petco Park this weekend.
Well, we already have a help wanted sign out there looking for a GM too. You've got A.J. Hinch, Omar Minaya, and a cast of thousands. Man in the front office at the trade deadline as Grandal strikes out 2 down. Second time he struck out today. Tommy Medica singled and scored in the 4th. He walked his last time. Don't forget, vote Goldie, dbacks.com. Major League Baseball All-Star Game coming up July 15th, only on Fox. Beautiful Target Field in Minneapolis, which will be where the Diamondbacks have played their last road series of the season. Will be there September 22nd through the 24th. It's on a hop. Nick Ahmed. Marshall works a 1-2-3-8. Houston Street coming on. CenturyLink, your link to what's next. It'll be Miggy, Aaron Hill, and Martin Prado. 4, 5, and 6 down a run in the 9th. And one of the best closers in the business is on for the Padres. It's the right-hander Houston Street. He has converted all 20 of his save opportunities. That is the longest active streak of the major leagues. A .96 ERA, third best among all major league relievers. He has worked scoreless baseball in 26 of his 28 outings. Pretty good.
Pretty strong. 30 strikeouts in 28 innings, only 7 walks.
And since 1969, 12 closers have made it to the All-Star break and had at least 20 saves without blowing one. And only J.J. Putz for the 07 Mariners had a lower ERA at the All-Star break than where Houston Street is right now. So historically, he has been sensational.
He's due for a bat.
Miguel Montero, Aaron Hill, Martin Prado, 4, 5, and 6 in the Arizona ninth. Diamondbacks down a run. Looking for their first sweep in San Diego since April of 2006. Montero, an RBI single in the first. He's 1 for 3. Miggy has now hit safely in 5 straight and 6 of 7. Good track record against Houston Street.
It was actually better. The 3 strikeouts have come in his last 3 at bats. He was 5 for 7 before those 3 punch outs against Street.
1-1. Miguel Montero leading all major league catchers in RBIs. Only Evan Gattis and Devin Mesoraco have hit more home runs. Doing this while leading all big league catchers in starts and innings caught behind the plate. Coming inside here, got it out over the plate and popped him up, but it's out of play. Two and two.
Houston Street immediately identifiable because of his delivery. Nobody else does it quite like Houston Street. Starts right in the middle of that rubber, takes a ginormous step to his left over toward first base and ends up throwing off the far first base side of the rubber.
That's Miggy to chase, and that's the first out in the ninth.
In certain pitchers, Bronson Arroyo, you can look at a video without any audio and immediately know who it is, and Houston Street is the same way. I can't think of another pitcher in baseball that has that kind of a delivery. Almost moonwalks off the side of the mound before stepping back on that far first base side of the rubber.
Bounced one to Montero to get the strikeout. Here's Aaron Hill, who walked in the fourth. He's 0 for 2. And this is his last chance to draw a walk in June, and he did it. Back in the fourth inning, his first base on balls all month long. And his first walk since May 25th, so he's been the anti-Goldie in that regard. Lifts that in the air to short right field. Venable coming in. D-backs down to their last out. And for our Chaz Roberts air conditioning pool play the game. Of course, a great moment here earlier. That young lady's father just flew in from Afghanistan earlier today. She was out there at second base, turned around, and there was Dad. Well done by the Padres. It's our Chaz Roberts air conditioning pool play the game.
No question about it. She was part of the promotion where the kids go out and change the bases in the middle of the ball game, and turned around and there was Dad.
Martin Prado 0 for 3. Street, reaches up, pulls it down, and they get Prado at first. The Padres salvage one and beat the Diamondbacks 2-1. So the D-backs with a chance to get their first sweep here since April of 06. Dropped the series finale, but they leave with a series win. Right now it's on to plane. Day off tomorrow, then we'll